This episode is brought to you by Joy Events, the world's most effective event planning software.
All right, Tess.
You ready?
I am. It is day 2 on the show floor at Confex, and we're actually we're with an amazing group of people that are here in the Catch the Mice booth. You know, beyond us with the Event Tech Atlas, and one of the amazing folks that's in the booth is Mark Kisby.
You better introduce someone who's next to you first.
Oh, I'm sorry, Neela.
Yeah, just saying.
Just say hello.
Introduce herself.
Oh, I'm introducing myself. I'm Neela with Event Tech Atlas. I can't hear myself in the microphone. I'm learning how to use a mic today. Good thing Mark's here.
And Mark says you have to hold it like this.
Like that? Is that better?
Yeah.
Shouldn't I be able to hear myself?
No.
He's laughing over there at me. Anyway, here you go.
This is how we AV guys are always laughing at people.
So,
Yeah, I'll tell. That's a story for another day. So anyway, we are with Mark Kisby of AV Department Limited of Scotland, and we're actually they have set up a spectacular piece of kit here, using my British terms, so that we can actually do these podcasts. Right, we've right over here in a basically, what is this, a 6 meter by 6 meter booth, so kind of a 20 by 20 for all us Yanks. And we're able to be in this space and have this amazing little podcast area, all courtesy of Mark. What? Tess, we're going to talk to, actually, you have a couple questions for Mark, because they do an amazing job, and you guys do basically you do AV all over the globe.
We can go pretty much anywhere. Yep, we do AV all over the globe. We have global partners who we work with. So literally last week came back from doing a job in Thailand, in Bangkok, for a good customer of ours who we've been working for quite a few years now. And hopefully we'll be joining them in Rome in October as well. So yeah, what we do is we organize the kit out there, and then we fly out and manage it and make sure that everything is to the client's satisfaction.
Well, and it's funny, and in the lead up to Confex, like the first conversation we had with you were in Scotland, and then the next time you come on, and I actually didn't know you were in Thailand, and it's early in the morning or whatever time it was in Chicago. We're talking, and I'm like, but wait a minute, the time it should be light where he is. You're like, no, I'm in Thailand. But Tess, before you get to your questions, I do want to go back before we actually started recording. We were actually, basically shooting the shit, and we were talking about an event you did in St. Petersburg. And yeah, that's cool. So just go, hit it, run with it.
Okay, so this event was working when I was working with a company called Broiler, now known as BUK. Excellent company, do very similar things to what we do now, which is simultaneous interpretation, microphone discussion systems, and PA systems and things like that. And we were commissioned to support the Royal Yacht Britannia in St. Petersburg with simultaneous interpretation, Russian, English, for a business envoy, so the Queen was on an official visit, and they sent the boat over with our kit in, having preloaded it in Portsmouth, and I flew out and set it all up, managed the show, and have to say it was one of the best gigs ever.
Well, but there was actually one thing that you needed while you were there. Because again, with any show, there's always a last minute AV change. We all know this, and it is amazing the links, or actually the creative ways that problems get solved. So what did they ask for at the last minute?
Well, they asked for a PA right at the very last minute, and of course, everything was preloaded like weeks beforehand, before the boat sailed, so we didn't have a PA on board. But thankfully, being a sort of like a techie guy and getting on with lots of other techie guys, the boat was packed full of Marines and bandsmen and all these kind of guys. So I just put two and two together and thought, well, they must have a PA. And having sort of like been speaking to them for the last couple of days on board, they said, yeah, sure, we'll lend you our PA. So we disguised the PA underneath the top table, so to give a little bit of a lift to the room, because the rooms are actually pretty small, and this was in the main banqueting room on the top deck, had 100 people in it, and there was nowhere else to like put it because the place was rammed. And of course, if you get an invitation to come on board the Royal Yacht Britannia, you don't refuse. So all tickets were taken. So we rigged this PA, and it all worked beautifully.
That is right, and I guess with anything with events and AV and tech, there are times when you just have to be creative. It was really funny. I'll tell my own story. We were once doing an event in south of San Francisco where Microsoft has a complex, and Steve Ballmer was the keynote. Right, it was their venture capital summit. Right, and this was 20 years ago, and so he literally, and it was kind of soon after 9/11, so everyone was a little bit freaky. And he had his security detail, but anyway, he comes up onto the podium, and he's literally about to start. He gets 3 words into his keynote, and the fire alarms start going off. Right, live event, and I gotta say, he was pretty slick. He was like, "Can you get me a speaker?" And he asked me, and I'm like, "Sure, give me 5 minutes." And the next thing you know, we're actually out in their quad area. All the attendees had to exit the building because of the fire alarm. They're all standing there, and he actually gave his keynote standing up, no notes, no podium, no nothing. And it actually ended up that's an event that's going to be memorable for everyone forever, right? They're going to be like, "Yeah, and the fire alarm went off, and he just didn't miss a beat." And it was really crazy that he was good enough and calm enough, and on our side, we were calm enough to say, "Yeah, we can get a speaker. We'll go out there, and off you go."
That's what AV people do. You work magic behind the scenes and make it happen.
The other thing that, just thinking about that, we've done things like that as well. And if you can actually talk directly to the person who's giving the actual speech, rather than having to go through sort of like all the stage managers and all these other
and their
middle management,
PR department.
PR department, all this kind of stuff, who would all probably say, "No, I'm not doing that," and all this kind of thing. And you couldn't possibly ask so-and-so to work in these conditions. And in actual fact, they're more than happy. And in actual fact, they embrace the sort of like the opportunity to do something different and make it a memorable occasion for all involved. And obviously, was it Steve Ballmer obviously wanted to give that speech and was keyed up to do it, and so yeah, all power.
Yeah, and he's a very intelligent guy. He knew he was on a schedule. He wasn't staying there the whole day. He was going to have to leave, and so if he didn't get to do that talk, it wasn't going to happen, right? And sometimes bless the PR folks and the handlers for all these people, but sometimes they are actually a hindrance. Right, so if you are a handler, sometimes step aside. But Tess, do we have some questions?
Yes, we do. So as you are thinking about all of the things you've done throughout your career, what would you say is the biggest pain point you've been able to solve for your clients? If you kind of pulled it all together. We know we put out fires. We know they're AV companies. I think that each one has their own niche and special sauce. But really, what is that pain point you?
So the current pain point that we're finding now is that clients don't want to actually pay for the technician on site.
Ding, 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 ding.
So what we're trying to do now is create systems that are almost self-op. They run by themselves. And that's not using AI or anything else like that. They're just using sort of like algorithms and, sort of like basic gates and things like that. So they work by themselves effectively. So this basically allows us to dry hire a lot of equipment these days. So that's what we're doing a lot of, is dry hires. So that's where we send the kit out to a customer and they set it up. With instruction, obviously, or if they, usually there needs to be a competent person on site somewhere along the line. But we also send kit to other AV companies. So rather than us going down and setting it up and adding to their costs, they can use their staff and set it up themselves.
A follow-up question would be, so then Do you find yourself having to do some pre-training that goes along with the kid with getting that person up to speed if they're not as tech savvy?
Yeah, so I find myself quite often doing personal video run-throughs with the, here's my iPhone, and I go through, okay, this is what we call a central control unit. Switch it on here. I've pre-programmed all the interpreter consoles so they all come on in the right languages. Just plug it in like this, bum, 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 bum. And then we just WhatsApp that through to them, and then they can watch it. And what I keep on meaning to do is do more generic videos like that and get them up on YouTube and things like that. But I have done that on some YouTube videos as well, and they've got now thousands of views for just basic tutorials.
So I was actually going to ask, do you then take that, what you're offering, you're not going on site, so you're losing that revenue. Is there a different package price for that? Or are you just giving it away for free? That tech know-how.
That tech know-how.
video?
Well, yeah, it's kind of like part of the service. It is part of the service. I think clients expect that. That's why they've come to you in the first place, to know that you'll be able to provide that element of service. That's why we keep repeat customers. I've been doing the same show for the same customer for over 25 years. And it's that reliability.
And the giving away of knowledge, right, which is what you're doing. What a lot of organizations on the event tech side don't realize, that giving away your knowledge is the quickest way to get rich, right? During COVID, there was I cannot remember their name, but there was a AV company that was doing a lot of stuff, with Zoom, and they had all these crazy. At the time, Zoom didn't have NDI, right? So in order to pull people out of Zoom, they went to all these crazy links. But what they did was, every single build they had for every event, they would record it and then put it on YouTube. And so, yes, there are people like me that would watch it and then go do it. But there were a lot of people that went and watched it and said, holy crap, I cannot do that myself. I'm going to call that guy. And they ended up just killing it. So giving away their knowledge helped the industry, because it helped me be able to do some things that I actually didn't know how to do. But it also brought them a lot of business. So, again, to your point, putting those up on YouTube and they get thousands of views, sure, they're, 700 of those are people that are going to try and figure it out for themselves, but there's 300 of them that are going to go, I don't want to do that.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so now we talked about pain points. Now let's talk about joy. Okay. So what are some joyous moment or experience, besides the ones that you said, that you have been able to move your clients through from where they were in that pain to the joy that you were able to create for them? And then I have one final question for you.
Okay, so that's quite a deep. There's 35 years worth of experience in this brain, and I'm trying to figure out what joy point, the juiciest one. Well, maybe not the juiciest one. Okay, so obviously during COVID hits, we were so we lost 90% of our business overnight. I think everybody in the event industry did, or maybe even more. And just by chance, because we like to look into the future a little bit, I was experimenting with remote interpretation already. So we had created a studio, a remote interpretation studio, and we have an amazing client in the Scottish Parliament. And when lockdown happened, they gave us a call and said, Mark, this studio that you've got, can that do British Sign Language? BSL, to go with the First Minister's questions and all this kind of thing. And we said, yeah, of course it can. Of course it can. No problems. So we had 24 hours to convert a purely audio studio into a full streaming video studio, quick, using whatever we happened to have in the office. And and we turned it around and we did our first broadcast. And then we sort of honed it and developed it and all this kind of stuff. And we ended up doing a really nice product that kept us going quite nicely for the the first lockdown. And so I would say that was a pretty good joy point, and it meant that we could, keep the doors open, keep the lights on, and keep servicing our customers. So yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, I love it when you have a client like when you have the trust of a client. And so many times we've had clients where they'll call me up and they'll be like, "We want to do this," and I'll be like, "Give me an hour," right? Just give me an hour, and you sit there and you kind of think and you figure it out, and then you get back on a Zoom call or whatever it happens to be with them, and you're like, "Yeah, we can do it," and they're like, "That is so awesome." And it truly is a great feeling.
It is. Okay. Now, your final question of the day, worth $100 million, is what are you seeing that your clients are not doing and you wish they would?